So in this video, what I'm going to do is go over how to get the higher level grades for Champ Mastery on a champion you're playing. Primarily by going over one major point that I think has actually been missed because it was mentioned so long ago that I think maybe people forgot about it. Because for those that don't know, Champ Mastery originally came out 2 years ago now. It came out back in Season 5, going into Summer Split, and it's Season 7 now. But last year they introduced levels 6 and 7, in which case you need to get tokens to upgrade your champion from level 5 to level 6, and then from level 6 to level 7 by getting S- grades and then getting S or S plus grades. I've done this on Jinx, for example, and Jinx is like the only one I've done it on at this point. I can't even get level 7 on anybody else. I am absolute trash. But going over the exacts of how to do this. One of the major things I think was forgotten is that your KDA can be fantastic, but it's also compared to how other people are doing on the champion you're playing as in your region. So, for example, I'll use this example. If you're playing Urgot and you go 6 and 5 and you have an S-, that's not what always is going to be an S- for Urgot. It just means at that point in time, Urgot is in such a bad spot and so many people aren't doing as good on Urgot that they're having a difficult time, having a really great KDA, and that's probably one of the top best KDAs you can get on him actually. He's struggling. Meanwhile, if you're on someone like Draven, since he's a strong AD carry right now, and you go 20 and let's say 7, and you get like an A-, you might be thinking, but I got 20 kills and I died 7 times, but I didn't even die like that many times. Why did I only get an A-? I got 20 kills. Well, it's because Draven's really powerful right now. So a lot of people are doing really well on Draven right now, and a 20 and 7 isn't actually even S tier worthy of the KDAs people are getting on that champion. And this is one of the points I want to start off with first and foremost, because this is one of the most things that when I talk to people, because they ask me about Champ Mastery, they don't know. They know about getting maybe a lot of kills and a lot of KDAs, maybe you know about getting a lot of CS, but you didn't know that you're also compared to how other people are doing on that champion in that region. And one of the reasons I think it's forgotten is because when you make it something like that and not a set number, it's very flexible, right? Patch to patch, the requirements could change, and suddenly that 27 that got you an A-, this patch, let's say next patch, Draven gets nerfed into the ground, suddenly the 27 is worthy of an S- or an S, because now Draven's in a worse spot, and now to get that same KDA, you have to work harder, and the game recognizes that. So I think that's something I want to drive home, again, one more time, is that Champ Mastery is dictated by things like CS and KDA, but it's also based on how other people are doing on that champion in your region. So that does mean, in other words, if your champion is super strong that you're trying to get those grades on, it's going to be that much harder to get those tokens for that champion, versus if you're playing a champion that's pretty weak right now in the meta, it's probably going to be a lot more easier to get those higher grades because that champion's not looked at very greatly right now. Going back to the Urgot and Draven example, you can apply that to like just champion classes. You don't really want to play assassins in a meta where there's a lot of CC on just about every role in the game. Even some AD carries like Jinx with the Flame Chompers or Caitlyn with the traps. If you're playing in a meta that has a lot of CC and assassins are probably pretty weak, but you can still pull off playing an assassin, you're probably going to have a better chance of getting the S and S+ even without having to work as hard, because in general, a lot of people won't be doing very well on those champions. So like Zed, for example, or Katarina. If you're playing Katarina in a meta where Katarina's not good because there's a lot of CC, but you are still getting away with doing Katarina things, pentakilling people's faces off and such, well then you're probably going to get, those higher grades easier. Versus, the normal, which is like median line of people who aren't doing well with Katarina at all, or aren't maybe even playing Katarina that much at all because there's so much CC. If you're playing a more immobile AD carry in a meta where there's a lot of assassins and bursts and they're super powerful, it's going to be probably hard. Your positioning is going to have to probably be on point, but if it is, you'll probably be rewarded with not having to get as high of a KDA to be able to get those tokens. Now, I bring this up because when I got level 6 on Jinx, for example, I was level 5 getting to level 6, I played her in a meta where she wasn't terrible, but she definitely wasn't top tier. So the KDAs I got, for example, I went 11 and 2 in one game, turned it around, went 11 and 4 in another game, and those were actually worthy of being S-. But at the time, I believe Vayne was super powerful, because this was in Season 6, but not quite towards the end where Jinx did start getting a little bit powerful. At that point in time, you had to work like twice as hard on Vayne to pull off the S and S+. And then when I got my S+ tokens, I literally, though, even on Jinx, had to get over 20 kills in a game and pretty much have very few deaths. because that was towards the end of Season 6 where Jinx actually had started getting powerful and a lot of people were doing better on Jinx, so I had to go big or go home. Now, one of the other things I want to bring up, that's a primary point that you have to do, is note how the champion kind of is in the meta, if the champion's strong or weak, because that will dictate how other people are doing in the region and what kind of grades you will get. The second biggest thing is CS. You can have the best KDA, but if your CS is absolutely terrible, if you only have 132 CS in a 40-minute game, yes, part of it is because you've probably been team fighting a lot. That's how you have a bunch of kills and stuff, but you need to be able to play at a level where you can get those kills and still maintain side waves and still get gold from CSing waves. You do need to have good CS. You can have like a mediocre to decent KDA, but if you have enough CS, your grade will also be improved. Because a lot of people on average, right, if you're playing a 40-minute game where you've gotten like 22 kills and you have 132 CS, that's kind of normal if you're playing a normal game. I'm not talking about ranked right now too, I'm talking about normals. If you're playing normals, that's probably okay because again, it's a bloodbath, you guys are fighting a lot, and you're not dying a lot, you're just getting a lot of kills. But in the higher levels, those kind of players also know how to do that and get CS. So that's going to be the difference between you going, let's say, 22-5, having 132 CS in a 40-minute game, and only getting, let's say, an A- versus someone else on the same champion going 22-5 in a 40-minute game, but having 350 plus CS, now having the solid S grade. That does play a part into it, because the game is like, if it's your mastery on a champion, part of it is then being able to, you know, what's I'm trying to say here? I wasn't gonna say prolifically, but just really well be able to play the champion. Let's just forget big words right now. Why do we have to make this complicated? Let's just keep it simple. Part of it is being able to play the champion at a mastery level, like as if you've mastered the champion. And people who have mastered champions know how to do both. They know how to manage team fights and also manage sideways and get gold that way, get high CS scores and high KDA scores. And so that's going to be the difference between what that first score was and that second score was, even though they're the same KDA. So, once again, for example, in a Jinx game that I got my S+ in, I went 18-2, which at the time was okay. Jinx wasn't terrible, but again, she wasn't top tier. So 18-2 wasn't like a worse KDA, that helped, but I got 537 CS in a 53-minute game. So I was getting about 10 CS per minute, kind of like pro play. I actually felt kind of good. I don't want to brag and toot my own horn because I haven't been able to top that ever since, but that's actually a really good trying goal to shoot for, but I know it's not always realistic in a normals game, even in a ranked game. But what you can try and shoot for is 80 CS per 10 minutes. So in other words, at 10 minutes, have about 80 CS. 20 minutes, have 160 or more. 30 minutes, have 240 or more. Try and shoot for about that kind of an area. Obviously, if you can, shoot for 10 CS a minute, but I understand, especially in normals, if you're playing with an uncoordinated team, you're just queuing up solo, that's not always, the most possible thing. I brought up pro play briefly because they can do 10 CS a minute in pro play, but mind you, they're playing with a super coordinated team, they have mics so they can communicate very easily and stuff like that. That might not be really realistic for solo queue or for normals, so just keep that in mind. Don't beat yourself too hard up on that. But you do want CS, and you do want to outperform how people are doing on the champion in your region, patch to patch. Again, that doesn't seem very reliable, I guess, because that can change on a dime. If we go back to the Urgot Draven example, if Urgot suddenly gets super buffs or his rework comes out, well then suddenly the way you play Urgot and what counts as good and bad on Urgot has changed. So that 6-5 ain't good enough anymore. Suddenly you need to go 16-1 out of nowhere. And Draven, who maybe just yesterday when it was one patch, you needed to go 27-5 to do one thing, he got nerfed into the ground. So now going 2-5 gets you an A+. Things like that can dictate it. So once again, really quick, gonna run it down one last time. Look at how people are doing on your champion. Try and play them pretty much if they're weak, and then do very well on them. That will also probably help. And then CSing. The final thing I'll bring up really quick is just try playing the champion in another role. I played support Jinx once, I played Locket, Infinity Edge, Tank Jinx, and the game then will compare how you're playing that champion to how other people are playing the champion that way, and a lot of people aren't playing, Tank, Locket, Infinity Edge, support Jinx, so that was an easy grade. So if you're having trouble doing what I said in like the first 9 minutes of this video, you can try that small like 20-second tip that I could have made this video so much shorter just saying that as well too. Well, that's all for this video. If you have any more questions about Champ Mastery, feel free to ask me. There's more things I can go over, but I didn't want to make this video even this long. I'm sorry I made you sit through this long of a video for things that was kind of quick to go over. But feel free to ask me questions in the comment section. I will answer them. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe in general if you so choose. Thank you for watching this video. I don't know which video will be next, because life could be quite a mess. So until next time, take care. From the Fire Guy, FS.